Hello everybody, my name's Manika. Welcome back to the unboxing where today we are trying out a new SHF line. Yay! We're trying this out, seeing how it goes, because this isn't a series I'm particularly super attached to, but I mean, I had flirts with it, I guess. But, you know, I saw this figure, it looked good, so I decided to pick it up, because sometimes that's all it takes for me to get into a figure line. So today we are taking a look at none other than the SH Figuarts My Hero Academia Izuku Midoriya, the main character from the series. Yeah, I watched the early seasons when they were like really popular, but then I kind of fell off when everybody else did. Not everybody else. A lot of people still watched it, I imagine. I'm sure they enjoyed it fine enough. But, you know, it's a decent show. Though it seems odd that Bandai's getting to it now since so many other companies have done figures for this series. Like, mainly Figma doing a lot of the early designs, and Amazing Yamaguchi doing a lot of the middle era designs. Amazing Yamaguchi is still doing Hiroaka figures, by the way. Like, right around the same time this released, like a couple weeks later, they released like one of the like the rabbit lady. I forget her name. I didn't really get to where she is. All I know is I've seen her design. It's fine. But here we are with the SH Figuarts Izuku Midoriya, because I've seen good things about it. Anywho, it's some fairly standard SHF packaging. It's obviously in a new style, because every line gets its own style, though it's fairly minimalistic, which feels surprising, though, especially with like the way this text is, with it being very bright and comic booky. This feels a bit interesting in contrast. I might have wanted something more comic-y, kind of similar to what Amazing Yamaguchi did, but we're fine. We are fine. This is a window-style packaging, especially since this is a standard release, so I think all of their anime figures get packages with windows. The only ones that get, like, packages without windows are the Kamen Rider P Bandai items. Doesn't matter. On a basic green background, and you see faces in the main figure. As the figure's quote and title right there. Name of the figure, Deku Izuku Midoriya. Designed by Tamashi Nations in Japan. This is a Vietnam figure, so just keep that in mind. That may lead to QC issues. Bandai Namco, My Hero Academia, Tamashi Nations still quality, all the other logos, and a promotional image of him doing a big one-for-all punch. On this side, we get a bunch of face images similar to most of their anime lines, though again, very interestingly minimalistic and geometric. Name of the series and the figure, again, oddly, like, very serious. The packaging is very serious, given how comic-y MHA tends to be, comic book superhero-y. On the top, we get a nice promotional image of the figure, SHF Izuku Midoriya, the MHA logo right there. On the bottom, you just get a basic image of him doing a kick, SHF Izuku Midoriya, nice and green. On this side, we get a faded image of a generic standing pose, MHA Izuku Midoriya, My Hero Academia. On the back, we get a bunch of the promotional images, the edited one, the generic action poses, the face print poses, everything you would expect from your basic SHF line. My hair got into the sticker. This is where the legalese is. I got the American version because it was easier for me to find. But without further ado, let's open this up. Yeah. Let's open it up. Ooh, what the... It has an instruction booklet rather than it being on the inside insert, which is very interesting, and it's in like a little plastic baggie. That's weird. Warning, delicate, be careful, I guess. Choose and attach. Bunch of alternate pieces that we'll get to. Yeah. So that means that the green in behind is also its own insert, so just keep that in mind. And here we have everything that comes in the box on the standard package. There is, if you're wondering, I imagine it'll be out by the time this video is out, an accessory set that includes special effect parts and accessories for both this figure and the Bakugo that they are releasing around the same time, a little bit later, but, you know, it'll be already out by the time this video is out, I know that much, though it is not out at the time of the recording of the video. So just keep that in mind. There are more accessories to come than just this, if you are so inclined. Anywho, let's get it opened up, so we can take a look at everything he comes with. I'll start with the hands. The hand selection is fairly small, outside of the fists that he comes with on the base figure he comes with. A pair of open palm hands. These are always nice and expressive and good to have, though they are also exceedingly well sculpted and painted. It's usually just being well sculpted because hands are fairly simple to do, but because these are very specific gloves, they're also well painted. Not a ton of paint bleed. There's like a little bit, but not much. The inside is that nice flat green, but the outside is where the intricate details are really seen. You got the yellow and the black on each of the knuckles. I imagine for whatever tech he's using. Again, I haven't gotten super far. I'm trying to. We'll see. But yeah, very, very impressive on the hands. And again, they do still have nice intricate sculpting. Somewhat cartoonish, not super crazy, but like you can tell it's a glove and you have those lines. Yeah. Next up is the only other pair of hands. The only other pair. These kind of weird grippy sort of hands. I imagine these are for like going like this or for like other kind of actiony poses for like grapples. I don't mind it. Again, they still have that same level of quality paint and sculpt that the other hands had. They feel nice and consistent. And you can see a little bit of wrinklage on the gloves. They aren't just like fingers painted, so that's nice. However, as far as hands go, the most impressive is this one. This is for one of his like all for one abilities. I believe it's called Black Whip, from what research I did before doing this. But yeah, this is impressive as hell. Not only does it have the same impressive hand sculpting as the previous ones, you can see the paint in there. If I get it in focus, you can see it in there. You can still see that. I imagine it's very similar to these fists. I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhat reused in like CAD models. But also this beautiful Black Whip effect. It is so nice and pretty. It is legitimately very pretty. The inky black comes across very well, transitioning into the sort of lighter kind of clear green color. It is very pretty. This is very impressive. I always like a bit of like a clear effect part, and this is very nice. Very shiny too, which I think fits kind of how I've seen the images of Black Whip. Anywho, in terms of other bits, he comes with some alternate like bangs. So for SH Figuarts, when you swap out the faces, it tends to come from taking the bangs off and then the face off, and they took advantage of that to give him some alternate looks. So he normally has his hair kind of down in like a more bangy position where like it's covering his forehead a little bit, but for when he's using his abilities and like flying through the air or whatever, it has this kind of windswept effect, which uncovers the foreheads of like the alternate faces, such as this angry face. You can see it fits very snugly, but like you can see, it creates a very different effect. But yeah, we'll get to the other alternate bangs once we get to a different head. But first off, in terms of faces, very large, very nicely sculpted is this kind of angry face with like clenched teeth. Fits very well. From what I've seen in the more action-oriented later seasons, or the more serious later seasons, whatever, it fits the look very well. It looks like Izuku Midoriya, but it doesn't go like crazy, and I do like the way that the jagged sculpt fits in with whatever hairpiece you use, so that you can use whatever hairpiece on whatever face. Yeah, this looks nice. I like this. Anywho, next up, to go a little bit more optimistic, he has a kind of happy smiling face. This feels very Izuku Midoriya, very Deku. It's from what I remember. Once again, very well done. They captured the way that Horikoshi draws the eyes very well. And like the faces very well. It's very fitting for this character, even if the plastic is a tad shiny. Yeah, it works. Next up is a combo of bits. We have this super charged up, angry, yelling face, and it's got those nice like action lines on it. Once again, very well done. Not necessarily my favorite. I think my favorite is this one, or the one that's on the figure at base. But this one is also very nice. However, it is primarily meant to be paired with this piece, which is meant to show him going like all out, like I believe it's called full cowling from what research I've done. And it fits over the eyes very well, and it creates this interesting clear effect. And it's really cool. It's interesting. I don't think it's perfect. I think that like it like creates a somewhat weird effect with the eyes, but it works. And you can use these bangs with all the other faces, though. It doesn't necessarily fit the mood or like the eye shape. It's primarily meant for the two angry faces. It works with both angry faces, really. Both of the ones that have the brighter green eyes. It's a little bit worse on this one and on the shouting face, but it does still work. Yeah. And finally, for accessories, we have the scarf. Yep, that's a scarf. I kind of wish I had a... It's nicely sculpted, to be fair. Nice little tattering on it. I wish I had a little bit more paint, but that's fine. Anywho. Now, though, we get to the figure itself. So, let's get him out of there. First off, we gotta get the plastic out of the torso. Okay. Fairly easy. Next up, we've got to get this pegged in, because I'm just going to keep the scarf in on the whole time, though. Yeah, this is a very intricately done figure. First off, with the face. Once again, the head and hair are done very nicely. I didn't really talk too much about the paint on these, because it's not as evident, but the hair has that nice kind of fade from the green to the black that is very much Deku's hairstyle. And, of course, it's sculpted very well. It has that kind of Sharpie spikiness, but, like, also kind of being, like, unkempt. That really fits for him. Yeah, and then this face, nice kind of stern expression. Once again, works very well for Izuku Midoriya. Yeah, moving down, we have the kind of muffler area. There's like a kind of mask under there, which you can see a little bit of the sculpting and painting there, which is nice and intricate and didn't have to be done that way at all, but they did, and it's nice. But outside of that is this yellow scarf. I believe it's from a certain character who I don't remember the name of. Forgive me. But yeah, it is very nicely done. I do like the color that it has. It does kind of imply dirtiness in its kind of inky tone, like slightly darker mustardy tone, but I do wish there was a little bit more paint on it. As of right now, it looks a little bit awkward. But it is also very nicely sculpted. Once again, very nice, like, tattered look, which makes it use shadows at least somewhat to give that kind of dirty effect, which is nice. As far as the rest of the torso, the suit is a bit shiny, which, I mean, I guess might make sense. It is a spandex-clad hero, but, like, I guess that's from the plastic from the Vietnam factory, from what I've seen in other reviews. But it's a bit shiny for some people's taste. That may not be for everyone. And though it is sculpted and painted very nicely, I do like that it's a bit baggy. I feel like it fits the aesthetic of Izuku, especially, to have him be fairly baggy as a hero in his clothing, even with like all of these like extra little like armor bits to help like regulate his powers. The baggy undersuit fits very well, and it still calls back to that classic design that he had. The orange paint is also done very well. It's very much paint in the lines, but they designed it well. So that could be paint in the lines. The orange is nice. I kind of wish it was a somewhat brighter shade. I feel like there might be a layer or two it might need more, but whatever. Doesn't matter. As far as other sculpting though goes, these shoulders are very nicely hidden, flowing with this kind of white band very nicely. The belt, very underpainted, looks a little cheap, but it's fine. Boots, very nicely done. Nice, big, and chunky, and I do like a nice, big, chunky boot on a character. Nice and cartoony. But yeah, very sculpted. There's a little bit of paint bleed on the boots, but it's fine. But where the real nice paint appears to be is on the arms here. Once again, nice sculpting, but like so much nice little intricate detailing in like this little glove bit and like in this like shoulder bit. And again, it also hides the articulation very nicely. And then moving on to the back, once again, nice sculpted and painted details. The older cowl of the suit is hanging there very nicely. I know it doesn't really get used in this look necessarily. Like, he mainly, like, from what I've seen, mainly goes for, like, a mixture of, like, this and, like, a darker look, like a dark Deku or whatever, which is a nice design, and I do kind of hope that they do it at some point. But I do like how that looks. Yeah, again, very nicely sculpted. I do like the cut between the armor and the way that the armor is painted. And, ooh, that's nice. But yeah. Anywho, I think the main event here that got me into trying to get this figure is the articulation. So, first off, I do like that he can hide his mouth under the mask. It's a nice little detail. Anyway, I think he has a double neck joint, though. It is going to inherently be limited by the collar. He can look up that far, down that far, and side to side very nicely. He is still expressive, but the collar, due to its just sheer size, does get in the way. Shoulders, these are butterflies, I believe, though they do get nicely out of the way and nicely inward, so he can cross his arms somewhat decently. Yeah. So he can do like full body like punches. They're a little bit awkward, and I don't like how loose the shoulders here are, but they can also get out of the way fairly decently, get a little bit more than a T-pose, which is basically more than you need. This one feels tighter than this one, though. Again, weird QC. This is the Vietnam factory, from what I've heard. Their QC is a little bit wonky, so just keep that in mind. Able to move all the way around, though, so that's nice. Bicep swivel, nicely hidden by this little piece of armor. Fits very nicely. Double jointed elbow. Gets most of the way you would want, though obviously the main thing stopping it isn't necessarily articulation, but the fact that it hits itself. Which is fair enough. That's more of a design issue. This little piece of armor can swivel around a little bit. It looks like it might be removable kind of as well, because it does have an R and an L on it. So just in case you want to remove those for whatever reason, from what I've seen, he doesn't always have the full gauntlet on. You can remove it, it appears. And the hands are on your usual SHF peg. I imagine this will be awkward to remove and swap into, but yeah. Torso articulation, let's get things out of the way. Upper torso, let's get onto that. Crunches down fairly decently. Crunches back fairly decently. Could be a little bit more, but yeah. And has decent side to side, but from what I've seen, the main articulation comes in from the lower joint. Yeah. Crunches down that far. Oh, I popped it off the ball joint. Crunches back. Not as far, but I mean, I'm not going to be crunching back as I'm going to be crunching forward for punches. And crunches side to side. That is some great torso articulation. This thing moves amazingly so far. Anywho, hips are basic enough. Kick forward, kick back a little bit, kick outward perfectly. Thigh cut where you would expect it. Double jointed knees from what I've seen. Yeah. Gets out nice and far, only really stopped by the sculpting, and that is totally understandable. It keeps the sculpt perfectly in line as you would want it to be. And yeah, next up, foot articulation. The ankles look good. There's a swivel. This is a weird floating piece. It feels oddly loose, but that means it can get out of the way for ankle forward, ankle down. Ankle tilt, basically perfect. No issues there. And even with how chunky they are, they get a toe bend. Yeah, this moves great. This is a very fun figure for a superhero character. That is to be expected. It does have some issues, like the lower torso joint did pop off. But yeah, he does move like a... This is just a fun figure. Yeah, I'm having fun. He doesn't feel as ball-bustingly insane as like Ace or something, which I also kind of opened alongside this, but it's very good. Very, 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 very good. Depending on how things shake out, I could even see it being a top 15 contender. It's not super surprising, because, again, I have seen reviews, and it makes sense since he's a superhero character. This isn't a big surprise moment like with what you would have seen last Sunday. Undead Unlock names. I'm bad. Fuko Izumo. But it works. I'm glad that they gave Deku the attention that he likely deserves, given the popularity of his series as a Shonen Jump series. But yeah, I enjoyed this figure. I would recommend picking it up, especially since it's slightly cheaper. It's like around $60 rather than like the $90 that they're asking for the other ones, which feels a bit high. But yeah, I would recommend this one. And then maybe getting an accessory set. I do wish he had more accessories. But yeah, I think this works. Otherwise, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do let me know with the usual comments. If you want more content like this, let me know. Let me know if I should get more of the MHA figures, if you're interested in me covering those more. And yeah, until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye.